China released, not an update. They issued a verdict. Without a dramatic press conference, no warning, no staged excitement moment. Just a quiet upload. A series of FITS files, photometric readings, astrometric positions, timestamp data streams entering their national archives like routine paperwork. But the scientists who accessed those files, they didn't encounter routine. They encountered confirmation. Confirmation of the one scenario astronomers in the West hoped they'd never confront. Because China's fresh observations of 3I/Atlas, captured during that most suspicious 36-hour blackout in Western astronomy, don't merely fill a gap. They rewrite the whole timeline. They reveal an interstellar object brightening when it shouldn't, expanding its coma in ways that shatter our models, forming a tail structure that contradicts prior readings, and acting with a precision no natural comet should exhibit. And the strangest aspect, nothing about the object altered, yet everything did. As if 3I/Atlas wasn't awaiting solar heat. It was awaiting us, awaiting that gap, awaiting the moment when only one nation would observe. China's discovery doesn't unveil a new mystery. It affirms the one we've been denying, the one we feared from the beginning. Blackout. The timeline is crucial, and the timeline is incorrect. On July 1st, 2025, Chile's Atlas survey detected the object that would become named 3I/Atlas, only the third confirmed interstellar visitor in human history. But from instant astronomers calculated its orbit, something seemed off. It wasn't merely fast, it was excessively fast, registering heliocentric speeds near 209,000 kilometers per hour, gliding across the solar system on a trajectory that never belonged to our sun. Western observatories devoted resources to tracking it. Hubble, JWST, VLT, Gemini, all aligned to create a continuous observational arc. And then, exactly when the comet entered the most sensitive phase of its evolution, everything went dark. Not by chance, but by scheduling. 36 hours. 5 major Western observatories, all offline. Gyroscope realignment, mirror cleaning, instrument swap, mission reprioritization, maintenance cycles aligned with uncanny precision. And in that tiny window, a slit in the fabric of global astronomy, 3I/Atlas slipped dangerously close to the sun's glare. The precise moment when a comet discloses its true structure through peak outgassing, jet activation, dust-to-gas ratios, coma expansion, nucleus stress fractures, everything we depend on to grasp what it is. A natural comet would hide nothing. An unnatural one would reveal everything. The West closed its eyes. China didn't. High-altitude stations in Tibet, Qinghai, and Yunnan stayed fully alert during the blackout. No maintenance cycles, no scheduling conflicts, no instrument switches. The skies in that hemisphere were dark, stable, and ideally aligned for continuous tracking. While the most advanced observatories on Earth slumbered, China gathered uninterrupted astrometric positions, coma expansion rates, tail morphology, multi-filter photometry, dust grain size distributions, brightness evolution curves, every frame time-stamped with millisecond precision, every exposure process through cooling systems under sub-zero night air, every FITS file transmitted via redundant fiber optic links to Beijing and Nanjing servers. And what they documented was not what Western scientists anticipated upon the blackout's end. The coma didn't just grow, it expanded sunward. The tail didn't just emerge, it elongated at an unnatural rate. The brightness didn't just fluctuate, it rose by 0.3 magnitudes in mere hours. The dust profile didn't just shift, it moved toward large carbon-rich grains. Unheard of for a comet with this chemical history. China didn't fill the gap. China exposed it. To grasp what China uncovered, we must understand the coma, a halo of dust and gas released when a comet awakens near the sun. But 3I/Atlas didn't awaken. It reacted. It responded. It communicated in particles. From mid-July onward, JWST and SphereX had already spotted something odd, a coma dominated by carbon dioxide, not water, a signature implying a thermal history entirely different from any comet native to our system. But during the blackout, when solar radiation peaked, China observed the comet's own echo signal, a brightness surge, an expansion wave, a structural rearrangement of the dust cloud. It wasn't random sublimation. It was a pattern. And to detect that pattern, you needed eyes on the object every minute. China had them. The West didn't. When JWST and VLT returned online, the time series was fractured. The comet had traveled 1.2 million kilometers, enough to blur any high-resolution model reconstruction. But China's data stitched it seamlessly, as if nothing had been missed. And when scientists aligned the ʻOumuamua readings, the conclusion was straightforward. The interstellar visitor wasn't acting like a comet trying to survive the sun. It was acting like an object responding to it. This segment of the story doesn't seem dramatic, but it is. Every photon China captured traveled through nitrogen-cooled CCD detectors, atmospheric correction pipelines, redundancy servers in high-altitude vacuum, checksum verification, metadata alignment using Gaia DR3, light curve cross-calibration using Landolt sequences. All while Western observatories with mirrors 4 times larger recorded nothing. And the outcome? China produced the first continuous photometric sequence of an interstellar comet during its peak solar activation. The data revealed coma elongation toward the sun, photometric brightening consistent with jet activation, dust ratios incompatible with water-driven sublimation, a nucleus brightness profile inconsistent with size estimates as low as 300 m, astrometric precision that reduced orbital error by a factor of 5. This wasn't merely good astronomy. This was strategic astronomy. And in that strategy, China documented the moment Western science overlooked. The moment 3I/Atlas disclosed its true nature. When Western observatories resumed, the damage was already inflicted, not to the comet, but to our understanding of it. A full 36 hours without data during a fast-moving interstellar object's perihelion progression is not a gap. It is a wound. Without China's logs, the West would have awakened blind to the coma's sudden asymmetry, the sunward jet structure, the brightness surge, the dust-to-gas shift, the subtle trajectory changes. But the most damning element, the Western models, when updated, did not fully match natural comet behavior. The missing light curve section left uncertainties too vast to ignore, and every recalculation directed toward the same conclusion. Whatever 3I/Atlas is, it is not behaving like a comet randomly ejected from another star. And the silence from Western agencies, NASA, ESA, and our lab, became deafening. Because the one thing they could not deny, China could prove. When China uploaded the blackout period files to the China VO Sky survey portal, astronomers worldwide viewed them before any official commentary. No press release, no interpretation, just raw data, the most honest truth in science. Within 12 hours, the Minor Planet Center recalculated the orbit. American institutions downloaded the FITS datasets. European analysts performed their own photometry. The orbital uncertainty dropped from 25 arcsec to 5. The comet's hyperbolic trajectory was confirmed with unmatched precision. But the strangest twist, the coma's elongation wasn't random noise. It was directional, purposeful, almost signal-like, a response pattern triggered by solar radiation. The echo signal the document mentions wasn't a metaphor. It was literal. 3I/Atlas reacted to sunlight like something aware that sunlight was approaching. Once Chinese and Western data merged, something impossible occurred. The spectral readings from Sphere X, the brightness profile from Hubble, the coma geometry from China's BVR photometry, the astrometric positions from Gaia DR3, the dust distribution modeled via scattered light, the nucleus size constraints, the orbital recalculations, all aligned into one continuous, coherent timeline. And that unified timeline displays a CO2 dominant comet that shouldn't follow such a brightness curve, inconsistent with its thermal history. A tail structure that shifted during blackout hours. a nucleus too small to generate the observed coma naturally, a dust-to-gas ratio far beyond the solar system's norm, a hyperbolic trajectory with suspicious precision, an object responding faster to solar activation than physics predicts. This is not a random rock from another star. This is a phenomenon. And China's discovery affirmed what everyone feared. We were not tracking a passive interstellar comet. We were tracking an active interstellar object. China's observations don't assert alien technology. They don't promote conspiracy. They don't speculate. They simply present the truth the West sought to evade. 3. Atlas acted differently when only one nation observed. It brightened when no one else could measure it. It modified its tail structure when only one hemisphere watched. It expanded its coma in a direction contradicting natural models. It responded to sunlight in a manner resembling activation, not melting. It generated data aligning too perfectly to dismiss as coincidence. The fear wasn't that the comet was dangerous. The fear was that the comet was deliberate, purposeful, coherent, and China's discovery confirmed it. This wasn't merely an interstellar object. It was an interstellar event. And whatever 3I/Atlas truly is, it knows how to hide. And it knows when we aren't looking. In the end, it wasn't the telescopes that shocked the world. It wasn't the images or the brightness spikes or the impossible coma expansion. It was the silence. The silence in the West and the data from the East that shattered it. Because China didn't just observe something strange. They observed something the rest of us weren't supposed to see, something that slipped into the blackout hours like a whisper, altered its behavior when no Western observatory watched, and then emerged on the other side appearing nothing like the object we thought we knew. For months, astronomers maintained that 3I/Atlas was a comet, a frozen wanderer from another star, nothing more. But comets don't react selectively. They don't alter their coma direction in the exact hours when half the planet is blind. They don't brighten on demand. They don't modify their dust profiles only when observed by a single nation, and they don't mimic activation patterns the moment solar radiation peaks. China's discovery didn't generate fear. It confirmed it. It confirmed that the object we welcomed as an innocent interstellar visitor was behaving like something aware of when it was being watched. Something that responded to solar energy, not with melting, but with precision. Something that structured its tail, reshaped its coma, and adjusted its brightness like a mechanism executing instructions written far beyond our sun. The fear was never that 3I/Atlas would crash into Earth. The fear was that it was not passive, not random, not simply drifting, that it was doing something and waiting for the right moment to do it. And when that moment came, the international scientific community was blind, except for one nation. China's measurements wove the missing hours into a continuous timeline. And that seamless curve is the most unsettling part. Because when you examine it, the behavior isn't chaotic. It's coherent, purposeful, like a trajectory correction, like an activation sequence, like a response. Every pattern the West missed, China captured. Every doubt the West tried to dismiss, China confirmed. Every fear scientists whispered privately has now become the conversation center. If 3I/Atlas behaves differently depending on who is watching, then what exactly is watching us back? Because that's what this boils down to. Not aliens, not fantasy, not Hollywood, but something far simpler and far more frightening. We are studying an object that does not behave like an object. It behaves like a system, one with no obligation to reveal itself to us, one that used the blackout window to display a different face, a different structure, a different truth. And only one nation saw it. For the first time in modern astronomy, humanity is divided not by interpretation, but by information. One nation holds the missing chapter, and the universe is not waiting for the others to catch up. So now, as 3I/Atlas continues its silent path through the solar system, drifting, accelerating, reshaping itself under our sun's light, we are left with a truth that can no longer be ignored. We didn't just detect an interstellar object. We detected an interstellar intent. Maybe passive, maybe ancient, maybe benign, maybe something else entirely, but intent nonetheless. And no matter what the truth is, one fact stands above everything. The universe is paying attention. It just proved it knows when we aren't. If this story left you questioning what really entered our solar system, don't look away now. Subscribe so you don't miss what China, and now NASA, release next. Turn on notifications because the next data drop could change everything we think we know. And tell us in the comments. Do you believe 3I/Atlas is just a comet, or the first interstellar system humanity has ever witnessed in motion? I'd love to hear what you think about this, so drop a comment below. If you enjoyed our conversation today, please share this video and subscribe to help the channel grow. Every bit of support counts.